breed has so much to do with the behavior of your dog, because dogs were bred for specific reasons. And knowing and understanding this is going to help you be better prepared for what your dog is going to need. And knowing this before your baby comes, you can have your outlets that when you have downtime with the baby, you're giving the dog what it needs so that it's able to fit into you guys' families.
Dogs are animals with genetic needs and desires. By becoming familiar with your individual dog's breed specifics, it will help you and your dog better communicate. Carrie urges you take the time to research the needs of your dog. By understanding these needs, you will be able to make sure your dog is getting the training and exercise he needs to properly fit into your family's lifestyle. The AKC, American Kennel Club, recognizes about 160 breeds of dogs, and they categorize them into 7 groups: sporting dogs, hounds, working dogs, terriers, toy dogs, non-sporting dogs, and herding dogs.
I work with all different breeds of dogs, and every time I have my initial evaluation with a client, the first question I ask them is, I say, what is your main behavior problem or complaint? And it blows my mind that 90% of the answers of what their problems are characteristics of the breed of the dog that they have. For example, I had a client and they had a Portuguese water dog, and they did not want the Portuguese water dog swimming in their pool. So I, politely had to remind them that they chose a dog that loves water. Or if you have a Australian cattle dog and your complaint is that it runs up and down the fence barking, or it's chasing your children down and biting their ankles. The breed of dog that you have, there are characteristics. That's why we bred them, is so that we can keep similar characteristics. So you have to know and understand your dog.
Going far back in history, the reason dogs were domesticated was because they had skills and behavioral traits that made them useful to humans. The different breeds we have today were created to establish lines of dogs that had similar characteristics, personalities, and behaviors. Knowing this information will help you read your dog and understand his training needs. If you have a mixed breed dog, you can see resemblances from different groups. It is also important to keep in mind that any dog from any group can bite. Here are the 7 dog breed groups' characteristics. Sporting dogs were bred to help man hunt. These dogs tend to be alert and eager to participate and please. Hounds are also hunting dogs, but were designed to work without human guidance. They are genetically wired to use their noses, and as a result, that can make them easily distractible. These dogs are more aloof and independent. Working dogs were bred to guard property, territory, and also used to hunt. They tend to be intelligent and capable animals, usually bigger in size and strength. Terriers were bred originally to hunt and kill vermin. The natural scrappiness of the terrier was enhanced to make these dogs tough and willing to fight, and they can have a high prey drive towards small animals. In certain terrier breeds, the fight drive was accentuated and used for illegal dog fighting. Toy dogs were bred to be cuddled and make great companions. They are popular and easily recognized. Non-sporting dogs are sturdily built dogs with very different personalities and appearances. Herding dogs were bred to control and protect livestock. They are task-oriented and driven, and will find something to herd or protect. They work alongside and under the direction of human leadership.
Having the dog kennel, I really got to experience all the different dog breeds and different personalities. And I love it. I love to just be standing back and just having a group of dogs playing and just observing how you have some dogs that are the life of the party, and you have other dogs that are just sitting off to the side, very aloof, just like almost waiting for their owners to get back. And dogs, like people, have different personality types. And when you know and you recognize this, you can better prepare your dog for the upcoming changes. You can say, I know my dog is a little standoffish, or I know my dog is wild, and whoever comes through that door, it doesn't matter who they are, they're just going to be all over them. So understand your dog's personality.
Dogs, like people, have different personalities. Understanding your dog's personality is like getting to know a friend. Your dog's personality traits can give you an indication of how he will react in various situations, around strangers, new environments, and most of all, small children. Being a responsible dog owner means having control of your dog at all times and accepting his personality. Here are some examples of different dog personalities: happy, outgoing, independent, confident, shy, insecure, or aggressive. It is important to know that personality types can also intertwine.
Dog bites are caused by an accumulation of stressors that can build up over time. And people have to understand that dogs do not bite without warning. Dogs always have a warning sign that they give before they bite. A lot of the times I'll be talking to clients and they will say to me like, I was so surprised. I never expected it. I never saw it coming. And that's not true. As I get deeper and deeper into the conversation about what happened, give me the details of the scenario or give me a history of your dog, I can sit there and I can say, okay, this stressor has been building, this stressor. And finally it gets to a point to where the dog has so many stressors that it resorts to biting.
It is extremely important as the parent to actively reduce the stress that can build in your dog. You can help your dog by managing your home environment in preparation for your new baby, desensitizing your dog to baby cries, and giving your dog coping behaviors, otherwise known as basic obedience. All of these new skills are demonstrated in this video. These examples are to help you take the precautionary steps with your dog to reduce the new stress that is happening with the arrival of your baby that, if otherwise ignored, will begin to accumulate.
Dogs handle stress differently. You might have a dog that can tolerate a lot of kids pulling and tugging and poking, and then you might have the other dog that can't handle any of this, that even looks at a kid and just gets stressed out.
Dog bites have risen in number and severity over the last few decades. Children are the most frequent targets of reported dog bite injuries. The CDC reports the odds that a dog bite victim will be a child are more than 3 to 1.
A dog's bite threshold depends on how much stress the dog can handle. If your dog has a high bite threshold, that means it can tolerate higher amounts of stress before resorting to biting. So an example would be is if your baby pulls on the dog's ears over and over and over again. And finally, on the 50th pull, the dog said, okay, I can't do it anymore, bites the baby. Then you could have the other side of that where you could have a dog that has a very low bite threshold. And what that means is the baby could be crawling over, reaching out, just getting ready to pull the ear one time, and the dog says, that I can't tolerate that, bites the baby.
It is important to emphasize that any dog, and even dogs that have been raised around children, are capable of biting. By recognizing your dog's individual stressors, such as visitors coming and going, baby crying, or a change of routine around the house, you can help control these stressors and not allow them to build up. Remember, it is often not an individual stressor that results in your dog biting. It is a buildup of stressors over time without relief that causes your dog to bite. A dog will not bite without warning, but they will bite when all their warning signals go unnoticed or are disregarded. Many dog bites could be prevented if parents knew how to read their dog's warning signals.
A lot of this information that I'm giving to you, you might be thinking like, I've been raised around dogs my whole life, or dogs have always been around kids and families. And I'm talking about that percentage. And even if it's a small percentage, it still has to do with the safety of your baby. And you don't want to be the person, you don't want to have that guilt inside that, oh my goodness, I could have prevented my baby from getting bitten or getting seriously injured if I was more responsible managing my dog.
The next section is very serious, and every dog owner must be aware because it can help reduce situations that could lead to your dog biting.
Dogs communicate with us through body language when they're getting stressed. And recognizing these stressors ahead of time before your baby gets here is crucial to understanding when your dog is getting into a situation that they don't feel comfortable with.
Body language is a system of communication that you can easily start to recognize.
It's our job to recognize their stressors so that we don't put them in situations that they can't handle, especially around our baby. We need to recognize when the dog's getting stressed and allow them either to remove themselves, give themselves more space to adapt to the baby, or we need to be able to say, I notice my dog's getting a little bit uncomfortable now. I'm going to intervene so that we don't ever push the dog or put them in a situation that could lead them to bite.
Once you better recognize your dog's body language, then you can begin to interpret and read your dog's intentions. The purpose of doing this is to help you predict your dog's behavior in various circumstances so that you can handle them appropriately. Some important signals to watch for in your dog, especially around small children, are avoidance and displacement behaviors. It is important to add that even an expert in this field can misread a dog's body language and stressors.
These next set of behaviors, they're called avoidance behaviors. And this is our dog trying to tell us, I'm uncomfortable, I'm anxious, I need either to be able to remove myself from the situation or have my person intervene so that I don't get stressed to a point that I could potentially bite.
Avoidance behaviors are signs that indicate your dog is uncomfortable or getting stressed. Some examples of avoidance behaviors include the dog gets up and leaves, or by turning his head away. Some dogs will try hiding. Others react to stress by barking and/or retreating. This dog is showing the whites of his eyes. This is commonly known as half-moon eye and is a familiar expression in dogs that are being hugged. It is a sign that the dog just wants to be left alone. Crawling can indicate stress, as can growling or showing teeth.
Displacement behaviors are behaviors that dogs would normally do, but they do out of context. So this is something important to watch for.
Displacement behaviors indicate conflict and anxiety. Some examples are licking chops without the presence of food, yawning, sudden sniffing of the ground or other objects, wet dog shake when the dog is not wet or dirty, and trembling when it is not cold. It is advantageous for your dog to display these behaviors. Therefore, never punish your dog for showing they are uncomfortable or stressed. If you punish a dog for any of these behaviors, you might suppress the signals your dog is trying to use to communicate with you, and that could lead them to bite without warning. Never force a dog to stay in a situation where they feel anxious, especially if babies are the source of their anxiety. It is your job to recognize the body language your dog is displaying and react accordingly.
So it's your job to make sure that all interactions around babies, around children, are a positive experience for the dog.
Relaxed and happy dogs communicate through body language as well. Here are some examples. Relaxed body and muscles, tail and ears kept in natural position, or tail wagging in a circular or side-to-side motion, and relaxed face muscles.